Molly Bonyak, Deb Polly. Molly Bonyak. Okay.
Make sure your mics are on. Okay, Molly, go ahead.
Here.
Deb Polly. Ryan Daynert. Sandy Burke. Connie Hennon.
Here.
Lauren Pedersen.
Here.
And then Sarah Lanen, but she's absent tonight.
And then also note that we have our student rep here with us tonight.
Yes, and our student rep.
Thank you. Okay, consideration of the agenda. We had a late addition, 4.0, the Harmonix out-of-state travel request. So that should be for item 4.0 on your agenda. And then, are there any other? Sandy?
Yep. I would like to pull the minutes from the organizational meeting of January 3rd, please.
Okay, so is there a second? Sandy wants to pull the organizational minutes from the 3rd.
Second.
Lauren seconds, okay, discussion? Hearing none, so they're pulled. So then, we will make that item 5.0 on the agenda. So that will be, item 5.0 will be the 1-3 organizational meeting, and that's just a small, it's gonna be just a small correction to the minutes, so not a big deal. Okay, any other questions or changes on the agenda? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Motion to approve.
Ryan, is there a second?
Second.
Lauren, discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Nobody indicated that they wanted to speak to the public. The next item we have is the Jordan Pride Awards. I'll turn it over to Superintendent Evenson.
Good evening, Chair Polly, members of the board. Tonight, we have two special things to celebrate. The first would be the Minnesota School Board Recognition Week. And each year, MSBA honors and sponsors our School Board Recognition Week to recognize our board members for their incredible work, their time and dedication that is put into the role of being a school board member. I personally have seen and continue to see the amount of time and commitment and hours that you as board members put in, not only just for preparation for every single meeting, but really every committee that you're on, and I see you everywhere. I see you at student events for the arts and for activities, volunteering in our schools, and our community is well served by you as board members. So I just want to say thank you. I do have a certificate for each of you that I'd like to pass out. And we do have some folks in the room that I would love to take some time and just clap for you, if we can. So.
Okay. Thank you very much.
And you have a special cake.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're going to set it out. Okay.
Thank you.
So for our second celebration tonight, I'd like Kelly Razor just to come forward if she would. I'd like to say just a few words. Yeah. So Kelly Razor, our Director of Nutrition Services, was recently honored by General Mills. So General Mills awards school nutrition staff for going above and beyond, and they recognize people across the country. Jordan, Minnesota is represented with this round of what they call Trailblazers. Kelly even had her face put on a Wheaties box, which, ooh, ah, very cool. It is so neat. But I'd just like to share a few things from her interview. So what I loved about what she told the people at General Mills, she talked about how just her philosophy and our staff, they truly believe that school lunch should be the highlight of our kids' days. And I really see them doing that. I see that exemplified. The other day, somebody sent me a picture of something happening over in the elementary, and it was a little smoothie with a donut on a straw. I mean, it looked like something you'd get at a resort. I was like, wow, I kind of want breakfast at JES now. And that's just one example. But they're really working to make food and breakfast more accessible to our students. They were struggling to figure out how to get our high school kids to eat. So they brought the breakfast to the halls. And General Mills really appreciated that because they work hard with their grab and go program, and Kelly and team really embraced that. Students have been trying all kinds of food this year. They really elevated our tacos and tachos and all of those things, from just cubed tomatoes to pico de gallo. Some of our kids had never had that before. And I just think that that's just really cool, just to have kids get excited about the food again. And I would also say that Kelly's leadership is really important. The teams are having fun at work. I think that attitude reflects leadership, and I really see that coming through with Kelly. And they are really good at brainstorming, I would say, to try and be as efficient as they can with the budget, but really bring the food to life for kids. So I just want to thank you, Kelly. We're super proud of you and the team, and I know you're going to say a few words. And Chair Polly has a certificate for you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Renee. First of all, thank you for taking a chance on me. I'm very new to this, position, having no experience other than a year and a half in a school during a pandemic. So you taking a chance on me, I really, really appreciate it. Also, really, I feel weird taking acceptance for this award and all this appreciation when my staff's not here. I'm the brain behind some of these ideas, but they're the ones implementing them. So without them, I wouldn't be here, and that's for sure. So thank you to you. Thank you for believing in me, you and Amy, of course. I really appreciate it. This award means way more than a Wheaties box. These people don't know me. You guys know me, so receiving an award from you is priceless. So thank you.
We have a certificate for Amy. It's a Jordan Pride, for Amy. Kelly, I'm sorry. It's a Jordan Pride Award presented to Kelly Razor from General Mills, number Trailblazer, Certificate of Achievement, whose endeavor for excellence has shown character, determination, and hard work that represents the values of our school and community. This is a small token of gratitude to say congratulations and thank you for being a role model to others. And please extend our thanks also to your
Yes,
staff.
I will.
So
Thank you so
congratulations,
much.
Kelly.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I
Thank
think
you.
I think the Wheaties box is pretty cool. Okay, on to consent agenda items. We have no public comment. So consent, we have the minutes from 1:10, 1:24. Workshop meetings, monthly finance reports for January. The donations that we are acknowledging are $1,000 from Scott and Kristen Perot for the JHS Band, $1,000 for JHS Drama from Scott and Kristen Perot, $10 JHS Band from Chelsea Meyer, $25 in memory of Sheila Staler from Cliff and Mary Claire, $1,060 for the Clay Trap League from the Fish Lake Sportsman Club, $40 in memory of Amy Schmitz from Tom and Carol Bachhaus, $1,330.87 for Cirque basketballs from Joe and Emily Spillman, $500 to the Summit Academy from Connie Hennon, and $500 for the Early Learning Legos toys from a miscellaneous donor. Then we have our teacher seniority list. We have the new hires. We have a long-term sub-special ed teacher, Pauline Solar, in at a BA1. New hire, long-term sub-business teacher, Chania Reeling at a BA1. A new hire, special ed paraprofessional, Julie Lowy, at a Schedule A, Grade 1, Step 2. New hire, sped paraprofessional, Alicia Angelino, at a Schedule A, Grade 2, Step 2. New hire, special ed paraprofessional, Cassidy Hartman. Schedule A, Grade 2, Step 2. New hire, building administrative assistant, Annie Madsen, at 1822. She's a Grade 2, Step 5. We have the resignation of our spring play assistant, Jessica Barnd, resignation of sped paraprofessional Chania Reeling, and resignation of the baseball coach Drew Sinke. So I will entertain a motion to approve consent.
So moved.
Sandy, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Molly. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, our first action item is special event uniform request. Mr. Perkel,
Were we gonna do the minutes?
that's 5.0.
We're on 7.
It's under 8.
Oh,
Item 8 would be its own action item, so
Oh,
I
okay.
moved it down under to
Sorry.
5,
Okay.
8.5.
okay.
All right. Hello, school board. This is a special event uniform request. It's something that I've worked with our communications and marketing director and our superintendent on, just to clear up some things on a really good branding guide that we have and fully support that, just to sum up, basically, we expect our primary uniforms to be maroon, gold, or white. This would be more of a specialty uniform that would not be using district dollars on. This would be fundraised with an outside source or by students themselves, in which case then it would either become district property like we do with other booster purchases with warm-ups, uniforms, things like that, or it would be like a specialty item with a last name on it where we probably wouldn't want it back, and those would go home with the students who fundraised and purchased those. We would never have a partial set. That's kind of the last note on there. So we would either expect everything to stay with us or everything to be kind of personalized and then go home with that set of students. The reason why we're bringing this up today is we've had a couple of requests over the last couple of years. And this isn't just athletics. This would be, for band, if they were looking at T-shirts to march in for the Scott County Fair or different things, we keep that branding guide very similar for fine arts too. But this would be, we've had volleyball come forward to say, for Cancer Awareness October, we want to do a Dig Pink fundraising night. We want pink jerseys. We talked it through. We realized there wasn't really a plan for the budget, so that idea kind of went away. Football has talked about this upcoming year, instead of a player package, which the kids fundraise for, sweatshirt, sweatpants, and warm-up shorts, they would put their money towards a black uniform that they would wear for homecoming. These type of things currently kind of go against our branding guide, so our request is just to have that approval between the activities director and the superintendent to approve these types of uniforms. And we want that type of approval because, as you may remember, I think it was a year ago, 2 years ago, with Sika Hockey, bought these really nice hockey uniforms. The league said they couldn't play because they had multiple patches and it just didn't match the NFHS, MSHSL uniform requirements. So any types of purchases like this would need district approval before we would go that route. Are there any questions on this item?
Can I ask just a couple of questions? So before you order the uniforms, you would make sure that they were league sanctioned and everybody can play with them in a game, so it wouldn't be,
Yeah, we would hate to order something that's non-compliant. This is not relevant to this, but currently we have football uniforms that in another year or two are going to become non-compliant because of the font and the shadowing on the numbers. I've even been in the press box and heard announcers say, oh, I can't tell what that kid is on Jordan because we can't read the uniform. So those were purchased prior to me or non-approved, and so what we would have said there is, you can't do that. Anytime it's even close, typically I send a mock-up to the MSHSL and get a thumbs up from them. But yes, to answer your question, I kind of danced around it, but yes, it would be something that we would need to give approval on and make sure that it is something that they could wear in a game or contest.
okay, and with uniforms, are we currently on a uniform freeze for rotations?
This year we are. Hopefully not much longer.
Sorry, because I don't know what that rotation is, so I don't know what that process is.
So I've got
on how you-
a matrix, and currently we're just in a 2-year kind of freeze. But what's been nice with our Nike agreement, currently I'm working with girls soccer. They're not up next in rotation, but we have Nike rebate dollars with our Nike contract. So what we'll do is we're going to get white Nike uniforms, away uniforms for the girls, and the girls' booster club will pay for the embroidery costs. The material themselves will be covered as part of our agreement. So I've been kind of piecing, we've done that with track. We did it with boys basketball this past year. So we've tried to piece together some of that during this freeze so we don't fall too far behind. because what people don't realize is we're on a 5-year rotation, but really it's more like 15 for a C squad kid, because every 5 years those uniforms kind of get passed down. So when you're talking about a 6, 7, 8-year freeze, now you're talking about a C squad kid in a uniform that's 15 years old.
And the C Squad kids really aren't adult males. So you
And-
have adult male uniforms or adult female uniforms getting passed down, 15 years later, and they probably aren't even fitting half of them.
Right, and that would be our goal. I know we did that in boys soccer. Is we ordered some specific boys C soccer uniforms, more tailored to those size kids. Once we get caught up, we can start focusing on more of the lower level uniforms, which would be different sizes, because like you said, we've got the new boys basketball uniforms we handed down. The style was even changed, because back when I was in high school, it was that and one below the knee style short, and now you're putting a kid who's 5'2" in a pair of shorts that now look like capri pants.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
So
What is the overall budget for uniforms?
right now,
Okay,
prior to
historically.
these past 2 years when we've been off the freeze, it's been 15,000. To give you an idea, those white soccer uniforms we're looking at for the girls were about 4,000.
Okay.
Just the whites. That's
So
just the top.
I would assume that football costs a lot more than $15,000. So we kind of have to
We would
save in
Football is kind of on its own rotation. We would never try and do all of football in 1 year. We would try and stagger them, because yeah, like you said, if you're talking about pants and top and home and away, now we're way above that. So yeah, yep. But we are working because of that issue with our current varsity football uniforms being non-compliant, we are working to get football taken care of, sadly, before we need to. But the nice thing is we've got track and field, cross country crossed off the list, even though they were on that freeze. Same with basketball.
Is there anybody in the arts or anything that's inside or outside the rotation?
We've talked about Logan Burnside, our band director, and we've talked about our band uniforms. They are from 1998, but we wear them about twice a year. We'll wear them for homecoming football. We'll wear them for Heimat Fest if weather allows, and we'll try and wear them for Dazzle. But typically that big wool marching uniform is not good in the summer for Scott County Fair and other events when the weather is warmer. But that's another one we've been looking at, and I don't even know if I want to say numbers. Our band director did get a quote. We're looking at about $97,000 to cover new uniforms for marching band, which we currently don't have a true marching band. So it hasn't really been a strong push for it. But those uniform 98, whether we use them 2-3 times a year or not, just the materials, the elastic in them, we're kind of getting to the point where they're going to need to be replaced even though they're not worn out.
So when the kids are at the Scott County Fair, what type of uniform or what do they wear? Is it like a uniformed T-shirt or something like
Usually
that?
like khaki shorts and the band shirt of the
Yeah,
year.
so they'll wear like a
Okay.
maroon or white band shirt. And,
Okay.
And this, going back to this, would be an opportunity, and I don't know why we would, but just for an example for this, if there was a need for like a neon green Jordan band shirt because we're doing something special with the color neon green, something like that. This is what this action item would allow them that opportunity to have a specialty uniform outside of the current branding that wouldn't be a primary shirt or primary uniform.
Okay.
And typically with band, they're in dress attire for their concerts. And then again, marching is a lot of time in warm weather where we don't wear our full marching band outfit.
Perfect, thank you.
Yep. And then dance is its own animal. Dance costumes really don't follow a branding guide. Teams wear colors outside of their school colors when they compete. But our expectation is with our warm-up uniforms, when we're in the crowd not performing, they would be wearing our colors. Same thing, band and choir, typically in a performance setting, they're wearing dress attire and not a uniform. So
Choir does have robes,
So,
and those were
true, the
purchased.
robe, yes, yeah, the robes
Those
are.
are purchased not that long ago. I mean, 7-8 years ago, maybe? They were very expensive, yes.
And those are nice because those pretty much stay inside, so they don't see any weather, and
Right.
they're in pretty good shape still, yeah.
So
Why
the-
would dance clubs not, or why would dance teams not follow school uniforms?
Oh.
It's just a general question, I don't know, I was just.
I'm not
Is it a?
I'm not the
how
greatest
dance
dance mind, but if you ever go to a dance competition, it's more about your theme. It's more about your
It's the arts, the music.
yeah. So a lot of like
Like
rhinestone,
a
like if you're
costume.
doing a dance to Under the Sea from Little Mermaid, you may be in like aqua with rhinestones. It's just not, you don't really follow that uniform.
Okay, thank you.
It's like a costume.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
More than a uniform.
Same thing with like, with our drama department, we wouldn't obviously expect people on stage to be wearing those three
Right.
colors. It's very different, so.
Right.
Yeah.
So is this intended to cover Scott West activities as well?
The hope is, that the challenge when you have a multi-district program is you need the other district
Yep.
to also agree on it. But I can say in the last 4 or 5 years, they've done a really good job on working with our branding. I know we did some mascot refresh with them, and their current singlets do have that branding on it. And they were very receptive because they had the old font on there, and I said, well, we have this branded font, and they switched it. So they're playing ball with that, yep.
I just have an opinion. On homecoming, why would we not wear our maroon and gold?
Thank you. That was my
Because
question.
that's our Hall of Fame night, and that's when we bring everybody back, and anybody that's us knows that we're maroon gold.
That would,
That's just my
yeah.
opinion. I'm governed,
Yeah.
not
Yeah,
whatever.
I had
but
that question too, Connie.
I just think that we would wear maroon and gold.
yeah, that would be probably a question for some of our senior leaders next year. That's not a decision that myself or Coach Sand made. That's just kind of what they've requested.
Just out of curiosity, as I think about, because that's really a good point, a really good question. For me, my response might be, we would be receptive to a blackout game, but not on homecoming.
Yeah, and that's certainly
Yeah.
something we can decide. We can certainly decide that.
Because ultimately, you would have to approve and I would have to approve, and, sorry.
Yeah, yep, so certainly up for conversation on that specific one when it relates to football homecoming, yeah.
Is this something that's done across the state fairly regularly and we're kind of updating to catch up, or what's the?
You know, I poked around a little bit when the conversation came up when some of our football captains for next year proposed this idea. And I know Lakeville South, I reached out to them because they wear black kind of as their primary. And they don't have as strong of a branding guide as we do. The expectation is when the boosters purchased those, they were to be more of a specialty. But if you watch the state tournament, they wore those black uniforms all the way through. I think the biggest thing, and I talked to Stephen Beckman, who's been a longtime Jordan athlete, then on to a coach and teacher. And I think in the early 2010s, when we put the branding guide together, a lot of the big fad in college and high school was go black or that anthracite gray as your uniform. And I think a very good move at that time was to say, hold on now, let's not lose sight of who we are. And quite honestly, it took up until about 2-3 years ago to get baseball kind of out of that rotation of looking almost like Norwood Young America with black and silver and a little bit of maroon. So,
I guess that brings up another question, which is, once the uniforms are purchased, right, they're pretty easy to just wear. So is the intent that each time or for each specific duration, it would have your approval and Renee's approval, right? Or is it just the procurement? Because to your point, I mean, if it's like, hey, these are really cool, next thing you know, you're wearing them for 4 or 5 straight games when that wasn't
yeah,
the plan.
I think we would not put pen to paper unless it's very clear to whichever program is doing that. They understand that we're not, our volleyball uniforms aren't just going to be pink because we like them now. Our
Right.
football uniforms aren't just going to be black because we wanted to have a once a year blackout type of game. They're great, but those are our specialty uniforms. And at one point we had the opportunity, and opportunity is kind of a funny way to put it, but Jordan Brand reached out to Jordan and said, there's 2 schools in every state we offer our Jordan Brand football uniforms to. Price was astronomical, it wasn't an option, but what they even said was, if you buy it, it can't be your primary uniform, which sounds crazy. You're gonna spend all this money, get this fancy uniform, but you can't be your primary uniform. It's a side story, I don't know why I brought that up, but yes, it would be understood that, yeah, these are specialty uniforms, yeah.
I guess I just want to make everybody clear that this is not coming from district funds. If it does, it's going to come from Booster Club or it's going to come from student funds. Because I guess when I first read it, my thing was, and I guess to Lauren's point about, I'm thinking about just being a band parent and knowing how old those band uniforms are and thinking, okay, we're going to do this, but not, and I know that band uniforms are horrendously expensive, so I get that. And they all have to be bought at once because otherwise of the coloring and all of that, I get that. But it's just like, okay, well, we can do this, but we can't do that. So, and I read it further and I'm like, oh no, nope, it's not district funds. So I just want to make sure everybody is aware that this is not using district funds to do this.
Yeah, we would never use $1 of district funds on this, it would be outside sourced. Yep.
because I think I feel like those are great causes for like, you know, dig cancer and all of that. It's great for that. But I see like there's needs for uniforms and then there's specialty, like kind of extra things. And so I want our focus to be on needs, I guess, so.
Connie, did you have your hand up?
I agree with what Sandy says. I like that you're involving student leadership, so I don't want to put a kibosh
Yep.
because like the Randy Schaefer and all those things are
Exactly.
so community driven and we want our children to be good community leaders, so, but we can do that with a $5 t-shirt with something on too, you know, and they can
Right.
wear that one time and then wear it to paint the garage, you know, whatever it is. I just think that we don't need to spend a lot of money and it still means the same thing. I appreciate everything that you do in your leadership to create good leaders of our kids.
Thanks, yeah, and this is not Coach Sand or myself pushing that forward, or our volleyball program coaching. It's really the students that wanted to. And unfortunately with volleyball, we had talked about it, and one, it was not part of the branding guide, and two, it just at that time, they didn't realize, you know, we're not gonna put any money in as a district, so you can do it, but you gotta fund it by yourself.
So does our student rep, do you have any input you'd like to give?
I mean, I see this, I trust our student leaders, but as a band student, I also see the need for new band uniforms, and I get that that's a different topic. I mean, our band uniforms, like, nobody wants to put them on, they're horrible. They're just so bad, they're so old, but I trust our student leadership, and if they're saying that they want these, they should be able to do it.
And with those band, I want you all to know, that is something that Mr. Burnside and I have probably over a year now have had conversations on. He has a couple of quotes on like a higher end uniform than one that lasts, they say typically about 15 years. And we are looking at close to $100,000 to replace with the quality one we'd like to. So we're looking at kind of a task force to talk about what can we do as a district, booster club, and then student fundraising to maybe hit that number to be able to look at getting new uniforms. The other thing I told them while we're talking about band is we have to wear them more than twice a year. We have to have a reason to spend that money. So if we're going to do it, the expectation is that we're going to wear them. We're going to wear them proudly, often. So yeah, I do hear you with the band piece.
I do kind of wonder if that's part of why they don't wear them, because the kids really just don't like to wear them because they are in such a poor shape. And so because I remember when I first started going to football games, the band frequently wore their uniform.
Yeah, they did.
And so I feel like as time has gone on, and I'm guessing as the uniforms have gotten in worse shape, that's been something that's been more of a struggle. So I guess I just, you know, I appreciate what you said, Kaylin, and I just do think that we need to think about it. And also, one of the things I'd like to put in a plug for is, and I know this is off topic, so I apologize, but maybe like we develop a cycle to replace those and like figure out how we budget for that over the course of years, because the other like teams have that, and so it's a huge expense. So we know that that's going to be a huge expense every 15 to 20 years. So maybe we need to develop a cycle to get a rotation for that as well.
Any further discussion?
Sorry to derail the discussion, sorry.
No, it was good discussion. Okay, if no more questions for Mr. Perkel or Superintendent Evenson, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Lauren, is there a second?
Second.
Second, Connie. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Have a good night. Okay, federal funds update. Ms. Hafman.
So, turn the page, Jane. Yep. So I guess I'm here tonight to talk about all of our different pots of funds that we have related to the COVID pandemic. So I'm just going to talk about our Ss3 funds, our CRF funds, and our ARA funds. So I'm going to review the Ss3 remaining funds, the funds that we have from Ss3. We have ARP, which is American Rescue dollars that are specifically for special ed purposes, and also summer programming dollars. Next page. So each fund has a specific requirements for its use, along with specific required documentation and processes for requesting and accepting the funds. So all of this is done through what MDE calls the SERV system. So we have to put on an application, put a budget out there, and then once we spend the money, we can request the money back. And just one thing to keep in mind, this is all one-time money, and we have to be very intentional on how we use it. We have to meet the requirements that each source of funds is required. There has to be a consideration of the sustainability that we're gonna have with each of these funds. Like, for example, the free pre-K that we're gonna offer again this summer. We can offer it again because we didn't use all of the funds last summer. And we're typically not appropriate for ongoing costs of staffing. So the first pot of money, we're gonna talk about the Sr2 Fund. So this is our second year in that, and we have about $291,000 remaining to be spent, which will be spent, I believe, in this fiscal year of 2022. So some of the things that we used the dollars for this year was our staff MTSS training, the extra custodial cleaning that's required. We also purchased some extra custodial equipment. We bought a chariot floor sweeper at the high school, an eye scrubber machine for the walking track here at the CERC, extra cleaning supplies, the extra cleaning that was required for the band instruments and the choir robes from last year. We are actually, again, paying for our data hotspots from technology. We paid for the extra kindergarten devices for the larger class size, and also some mental health support that is provided by Scott County. So now we're gonna move on to the Ss3 funds. These were the bigger pots of money. So for our first round of Ss3 money, we were allocated $790,000. So these funds will be used up by fiscal year 2023. So for this year, we're using the money to pay Southwest Metro for the online school. We have 2 teaching staff at J8 at the elementary school. The additional social worker that we hired for a 0.8 FTE out of these funds. A WIN para at the middle school and at the elementary school. We could code 0.5 of our counselor at the middle school for that because she's doing more with mindfulness and mental health. Licensed staff doing extra duty due to learning loss. Also the MTSS and LCL workshops. So these funds were used to supplant expenses that would otherwise have been covered by the general fund. And if there's any remaining, we'll use them for the next fiscal year. Next, we're going to talk about the American Rescue Plan, the ARP dollars, and these were specifically for special ed. So we always get special ed funding, but with these dollars, we could use these funds first instead of using all of our federal special ed. So the first allocation was $74,000, and with that, we're going to use 0.35 of our special ed director salary, and then also extra duty special ed staff time. Then there was an allocation of $7,400, and those are for expenses for ages birth to 5. And I haven't quite figured out how we're going to use them, but we will. The next pot of money was $14,000, and this was for our CEIS teacher. We currently allocate 15% of our federal dollars for CEIS. And so instead of using all of those funds for that, we're going to use 0.1 FTE of that teacher. So all of these funds, they were also used to supplant what otherwise would have been taken out of the other federal special ed dollars. Then there was the Minnesota testing grant. So that's a Minnesota COVID testing grant. Out of that, we got allocated $102,000, and these funds have to be used and requested by June 30th, 2022. So for these, I used 0.075 FTE of our COVID administrator. Also, any health services worker that works with the COVID-19 testing and the supplies that go with it, and also our communications personnel for doing all the communication of the protocol and the testing requirements. And then we recently just got notified of Minnesota giving us Minnesota pandemic enrollment loss. That amounted to about $34,000 for us. And so what we're gonna use that for is this year we had special ed teachers doing advisory classes at both the middle school and the high school, and because that small amount of time they're not with special ed students alone, we have to allocate that, we would normally have to allocate that to our general fund. So I wrote this into this grant so we could use the pandemic enrollment loss money for this year. And there was also some pots of summer programming money. So as you heard me talk about before, the free preschool, we're gonna use our funds remaining from last year's allotment to run a free preschool program this year, and children have to meet that criteria in order to attend, and that planning is still in the process. And this is something that, this will probably be the last year that we can have the free summer school or preschool, so we'll have to try to work something out for next year, but maybe we'll get notified of more funds. And then we had ARP and Ss3 extended school year programs. So the first allocation, it was last year, and it was about $59,000, and these have to be expended this year by the end of summer 2022. So we're gonna try to build some curriculum and enhance summer learning and to address learning loss and also some mental health support for our students. And hopefully this will happen this summer. And then the next one is the remaining Sr2 funds, and that allocation is for about $197,000. These funds can be used for extra after-school programs or more summer programming to use. So we're gonna buy staff for that, if we can get the staff to teach the new summer programs that we're trying to build curriculum for. And then a lot of it is making sure that they go on field trips and experience things that they wouldn't normally experience. And this is all gonna be free to students. So just some things to keep in mind. These programs will be for students that are identified as needing additional support and to help their learning needs. These funds will only be available through the summer of 2022 unless we are notified of more. The curriculum and other items purchased with these funds are just from one-time dollars. And a more in-depth summer programming update will be provided this spring. And that's really all I have for right now. I do have a handout for you if you'd like, and it just lists all of the monies that we have, what we got last year, what's been used, and what we are currently using, if you'd like. Okay, any questions?
So, this is a lot of money. So do we feel that, you know, at the end of 2023, is this gonna catch up with us, with our general budget? Because of
It might.
loss of,
But the hope is because of these monies, we can also build up our fund balance for this year and probably next year to help sustain it in the future years.
And I would say too, you probably will notice we were pretty intentional in noting the things that we purchased. We've really tried to do sustainable things that don't require the ongoing. I think maybe a year ago I gave that analogy about like we wouldn't buy a new car that had car payments with one-time like stimulus checks because you gotta have money long-term. So we've been really selective in the staffing allocations we've put there. So for example, we knew that class sizes in third grade and kindergarten were not gonna work in August. And so we knew we had ESSER dollars there that we could use on class size reduction. So we were intentional with those two positions last year and coding them there. We know with our social worker position that she referenced, we had a 0.5. We know that we'll need a sustainability plan for that moving forward. We also know that pupil support is an area that we've chosen to overspend a bit in because of the significant needs we see in our students. So with the other purchases, you'll see like this scrubber piece, very helpful for our custodial staff because they can do far more cleaning when they're more efficient with their time with the updated equipment. So we've tried not to use this money for things that'll have ongoing so we don't have the funding cliff. There are, of course, some things. For example, preschool and the summer programs. We know that that money can only be used for that, and we know when that money's gone, it's gone. So we'll have to think about how we can continue good programming, but it will be for a fee. Does that make sense?
And I think another thing to keep in mind is, so like we are buying like curriculum for the summer programs, and those curriculums, they can be used year after year. And even like with more custodial equipment, if we buy it now with these special funds, we don't have to use it later on. And there are funds that will be carried over to next year, so we won't see such a big cliff.
Amy, there's a lot of work here, so thank you. I mean, there's a lot of funds with different timelines and different strings attached to each one. So thank you for putting in the work to manage it and make the most of it.
Thank you.
Tell them how many codes.
No,
No, for real, tell them.
it's probably about 2,000 new codes.
Oh my
I
goodness.
mean, that might be exaggerating, but it's a lot. Because what happens is, so if we don't spend the money by June 30th, and we have more money to spend after July 1st, you can't use those same codes again. It's all more.
Oh, my goodness.
So,
I just had one quick question. I usually know acronyms, but what is CEIS?
Coordinated Early Learning Services.
yes, it's intervention. It's meant to be like intervention before, to keep a child out of special ed if they were
Okay.
heading that way.
Okay.
And so after I started here, you are allowed to use 15% of your federal special ed dollars and put that towards a CEIS teacher.
Okay. I can't believe I've never heard that term before, so I thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, I agree with Ryan. I just want to thank you and the
Yes.
superintendent Evenson and the staff that's involved with the extracurriculum piece and teaching piece and stuff. So this has obviously been a nice perk for districts to get this extra money, but I know it's a lot of work involved, so thank you.
Thank you.
Very much.
Lauren?
I just want to make sure I got a hand up.
Oh, okay. Anybody else?
Any other questions about that?
Pass them out to everybody. Oh, thank you. And if I could just comment too, Amy, thank you so much. And we just feel like it's super important to keep updating you. Some of it might feel redundant, but we just want to keep you abreast of the conversation as we're getting new funds and ongoing and as we're making expenditures so that all through the process you kind of know what's happening.
Multi-tiered system of support.
Thank you again. Okay, next we have 8.3, the pre-K program update.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. Happy Valentine's Day. I'm going to get right to it. Stephen, please. Looking at our enrollment numbers to begin with. As you see, we've had a steady enrollment. We did have a decline 2021 COVID. With that, there were restrictions on classroom sizes, whereas maybe the elementary school, other places could use more space. Early learning is very confined, so we had to limit enrollment. But as you see, we're a steady incline again this year, and then we're looking strong for next year as well. We're not full yet, obviously, but so there is our staffing: 3 full-time, 1 part-time licensed teachers, and 3 full-time and 1 part-time para. We offer some creative programming. Typically, preschool curriculum is taught with themes, and our staff share those themes to be fiscally responsible. We don't buy 4 sets, we just buy 1 and rotate. So as you can see, this was in Mrs. Lund's class, Miss Sarah. They were doing worms in February, which could be difficult, but she brought the worms into the classroom. It's hard to tell, it's kind of small, but they're real worms, night crawlers. And in Trisha's class with the Olympics, she did a special focus for her class teaching Olympics, which was great, teaching kids how to be a team player in teamwork, what it means to win and to work together. So our registration just opened on February 2nd. These are our class offerings. They're the same, we're offering the same classes as we did this year for next year. And as always, in the summer, which it'll show in a later slide, myself and staff start to look at if a class is filling or we have a large wait list, we look at how can we get creative with our programming and offer something new or different to meet the needs of our community. Moving on to early childhood family education. It has been a wonderful year, as you can see by our numbers. Obviously, COVID, we didn't have any classes run, but this year we have a new teacher who's brought some new enthusiasm to the program. And it's been a very positive thing to see. And with that, it's just a part-time teacher and a part-time para, and then a part-time parent educator. Some of the things that we have been doing to increase our participation or registrations, we've done a drop-in class for our babies class. It used to be that you had to sign up for a session, and with talking with the early learning PTO, thought maybe that's overwhelming for a new parent, a new mom. So this drop-in, they don't have to register, they just call in advance and let us know that day of that they're coming. And then we're offering additional one-time classes. For example, March is there's a beach Hawaiian theme on a Friday night. So. Through our program, we also do typically, so this is our fun family event in the fall. And we do it in the cirque. It's just a time where families can come. It's free of charge to them. And we put out a variety of activities for them to come and see other kids in their class. The teachers are there and present. And then we'll also do one in the spring, partnered with our PTO. It was supposed to be last week, but with the weather, it was too cold. Usually an outdoor event. So we're looking to reschedule. It was a sledding event. And these are just some dates of planning. So in December, focusing on the community ed brochure, what classes we're going to offer. January, we do have our winter conferences, and we moved them up this year to coincide with kindergarten and kindergarten registration. So if families are on the fence, our staff can kind of help them, is your child ready or not? In February, registration opens, obviously with the help of Elise, helping promote that as much as we can. And then in March, we look at our kids company summer registration opening. And then in April, we'll be having our summer preschool, so it just keeps moving each month with new registrations. Similarly with communication, trying to see if there's anything specific to highlight. Just utilizing more Peach Jar, opportunities for families, just that quick click to register.
Are you seeing a good response to Peach Jar?
Yes, and people have typically, I missed that in conversations or whatever, and then people are getting more used to, you need to look through the whole Peach Jar, just not the whatever's on the top. Yep, so we had a preschool open house in January, and again, bumped that up to coincide with kindergarten registration. Yeah, so now we're looking forward to Kids Company Summer. We'll start that registration process. We do make phone calls for families. Typically, there's a two-step process. So they have to register using ActiveNet, and then they have to enroll their child on the parent portal or Infinite Campus. So then we make sure that parents have done both of those steps. And as Amy alluded to, we will be offering summer preschool again this year. It's a little different setup. From last year, it'll be 4 sessions, so all 4 of my teachers were interested in teaching, so we're spreading the love with them. There'll be 4 sessions, 2 weeks each, 3 hours a day just for a morning time. We're hoping we'll do busing similar to last year, and then the plan is for it to be free. Obviously, I'll work with Amy, and it might be a small charge if, for example, if a student doesn't meet that set criteria, it would maybe be for a small fee.
Is the busing free as well?
That's the plan, yes. Mm-hmm. And then Summer Kids Co-registration will open on March 21. We close it early May so we can start planning. All of registration is online, so it's ages 3 as long as the child is potty trained to grade 3. And we will be doing weekly field trips. That'll be new from last year. And then if your child's going in grade 4 through 6, we have J-Town Crew That position was just posted, so we're looking for someone to kind of head that. And it's just the idea is more age appropriate, so it doesn't feel like you're going to daycare. More community field trips, just a little more developmentally appropriate. Do you have any questions for me? Yes, and then the new promotion video, I'll leave you with that.
While she's setting that up, if you don't mind, I'd love to just thank Jenna and Elise for doing a video this year. We haven't had an updated pre-K video, and I know that takes so much. So I just wanted to say thank you. They're great.
Out of my comfort zone, let me tell you.
You have to rewind it to the beginning, I think. Yeah. Okay.
So when you said the registration, you did the registration on February 2nd, and the registration numbers are, I think we're at 63 already? Is
Not
that
yet.
from that February 2nd,
Till
or are you
now.
anticipating
Yeah.
having more on top of that?
More on top of that. So that's just from that date till now.
And 93. I think.
93, yep. And then we will continue, for example, this week, I've had a couple, they continue to trickle in. Parents wait. Their child maybe isn't potty trained yet, and they will wait until that happens. And for example, we just had maybe 4 or 5 students start in January. So it continues to, if we have space, we welcome them. Our goal is to get as many kids to have that early childhood experience as we can.
I love it for my kids, I just couldn't say enough about it. Landon probably was like one of the first ones in there with Kids Go and the ECFE program, and it was awesome. Oops. I wasn't green.
Sorry. Oh, there's a video.
Thanks, we got our tech guy here.
Yeah, that's how we got the technical sounds great.
It is online on the district website, so you can watch it. You can be in your home. or bed.
We'll start sharing it on social media
Yes.
too.
Yes, yeah, yeah. Any other questions?
Thank you very much, Jenna.
Thank you.
Thanks for all you do. Please extend our thanks to your staff.
I will.
Sorry about the video.
I'm gonna have it working in 2 seconds. If you guys still wanna watch it, I found a way through.
We do.
Just give me a second.
Hi, I'm Jenna Wendorf, Early Learning Services Director at Jordan Public Schools. When you enter our building, there's a level of excitement, care,
And students, and it makes our program a fun and welcoming place for students to come. It's something I'm most proud about of our program. Our staff and Early Learning Services is committed to making a great experience for our students, whether they are coming in for an ECFE class, a one-time event, or are attending our preschool program. Our programs are the first peek at our school district. We want children to enjoy coming to school, and our goal is to foster a love of learning and prepare students for entry into the elementary school. One of the unique things about our program is that we get to start with families in infancy and transition into the child's educational experience. With our proximity to the elementary school, our students are able to become familiar with the elementary and to build a bond that ensures a smoother transition to kindergarten. We utilize the media center, the smart room, and the cafeteria. Our staff are trained in SMART, which consists of fun physical activities for developing and enhancing large and fine motor skills, balance and coordination, visual efficiency, hand-eye coordination, attention, and much more. Once these readiness skills are in place, children have the necessary tools to be able to attend and learn, making them ready for school and prepared to become lifelong learners.
Another highlight about our program is that we incorporate our training from the pyramid model, which is a framework of evidence-based practices for promoting young children's healthy social and emotional development, which we know is so important at this stage of the game.
Hi, my name is Trisha Henches, and I am a preschool teacher with Early Learning Services in Jordan. What I love about being in this program, there's just so many things. I don't think I could cover them all, but my favorite thing is obviously the kids. I love watching them learn and how much they learn throughout the year when they come to us and they might have that separation anxiety, and just how far they come throughout the year, and they're waving goodbye to their moms and dads, and they're ready and excited to get inside the classroom and learn. I love helping them learn those self-help skills. There's just so many things that we do and that we learn about through the year, not just the academics, the ABCs and the numbers and everything. It's just all about the social, emotional, and learning how to get along with friends, how to solve problems, how to interact with others. So those are just a few of the things that I love about this program. One of my favorite projects necessarily isn't one that I work on with them. It's one that the families get to do with the kids as well, and we do a class turkey, and that has been one of my all-time favorites because I send the feathers home to the families and they get to decorate them any way they want, and it is so amazing to see what comes back. And we put it all together and we have this beautiful turkey that is just so unique. And the kids are so excited to share theirs, and they're constantly pointing out which one is theirs. So that's one of my favorite projects that we do.
I'm Sarah Lund. I'm a preschool teacher at Jordan Early Learning Services. I love our program here at Jordan Early Learning Services because it's designed to get our preschool children ready for kindergarten. We offer a bunch of hands-on learning activities that are fun and engaging to our students. I have a professional background in daycare as well as preschool, and our program still offers that caring, nurturing environment that daycare offers, but it is designed to get them ready for a school setting and structure and be able to excel. It is important for preschool-age children to be in a school setting to get them ready for kindergarten. We work on taking turns, lining up, walking quietly in the hallway, all things designed for them to be successful in kindergarten and elementary school years.
Hi, my name is Sarah Hyde. I live here in Jordan. I have one daughter who is in an early childhood program and one daughter who is in preschool. My oldest daughter always talks about the smart room. Every time they go, once or twice a week, every day she comes home, she always talks about that. And that's a room they go to that's different than the normal classroom, and it's set up with a soft mat on the floor and jungle gym bars and tape marks on the floor to try to get them to do different movements. She's really into the pencil roll, so she'll come home and demonstrate all of the things she's learned. And the monkey bars, the jungle gym bars, she loves doing that and likes reporting back how much more she's accomplishing each time. She's getting a little better. That's a big highlight.
Hi, my name is Chelsea Meyer, and I am a parent of a 3-year-old here at Early Explorers Preschool in Jordan. I am also part of the Early Learning Services parent-teacher organization. We are blessed as a family to have a wonderful child care provider for our daughters, so I didn't take the decision to send my oldest to preschool lightly. When I spoke with my daughter's teacher prior to the school year, I simply told her that I hope she would show kindness to others and recognize if someone is feeling isolated, down, or lonely. It is a priority for our family that our daughters are socially inclusive and compassionate, and it has already been apparent to us that it is also a priority of Early Learning Services to help the preschoolers learn social skills and how to interact appropriately. Other benefits have included independent skills like writing letters, cutting with scissors, painting, etc., teaching wait time and patience during circle time activities and while the teacher is working with other students. Additionally, we are meeting other families that have children our age in the community because of the early learning friendships our daughter is gaining.
entertain a motion to approve their trip. Sandy, is there a second?
Second.
Molly seconds. Okay, further questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Yes, tell them congratulations and good luck from the board.
And hopefully we'll, either get them in to perform or we'll get a video or something too.
I was gonna say, are
I
they?
recorded video of the, from Friday, or from Saturday, but it's not really.
Are they gonna do any more performances at the high school?
I'm sure they will leading up.
Yeah.
Because they'll find the things that they, got docked points on, and they'll try to improve those things. So I'm sure they'll probably do something as they get closer to March 12th.
If they do, can
We'll
we
inform.
get a heads up on that? at the
Absolutely.
beginning?
Renee's
Yep.
weekend report.
I do know that they're doing, I talked to one of the performers, and I know they're doing part of their show in with the, is that February 28th concert? Is there a
Oh,
band
yes,
concert?
yes, yeah.
One of those days, so they'll be doing,
The midwinter, no.
I mean choir, I'm sorry, choir.
Midwinter
that on my calendar. Yeah, the
Yeah.
choir concert, yes.
Yeah, I know that last time they also, because the Lions donated to other people, then they did some shows
Yeah.
for a few people or for a few different groups, so I'm sure they'll look back on all the things they've done in the past and do them. It's kind of weird just because, last year they didn't have it at all, and the year before, the girls qualified, and then
Couldn't go.
COVID hit and everything cut off, so
Yeah.
I keep trying to count back, I'm like, this year,
Right.
it's just, I don't know, part of
Right.
the whole COVID process.
I know one time they did it during SNAP. I feel like they, and so I remember I headed over here quickly just to see it, so, I'd love to.
That'll
get
be the
to-
hope, that they can get a couple more performances in before.
Yeah.
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 We'll let you guys know.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Someone to ask a commercial part too.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Sounds good. Thank you all. Okay, now 5.0, the minutes. Sandy, you had a comment on the 1-3
Yep.
organizational
We
minutes.
just need, I think I gave it to us, okay, oh, we need a vote tally on the consent agenda is all, it's just missing. I know it was a huge meeting to put everything together, and so, but on 8 point, just on the, actually, okay, on the consent agenda, on number 8, we need a tally of the vote for how everybody voted.
So I believe the vote would have been 7-0 for consent
Yes, I
agenda.
would assume
So,
so. Yep.
yep,
So
so
we just need that added.
looking for a motion. You want to make that, Sandy?
Sure, so moved.
Is there a second?
I will second it.
Brian seconds, okay. Questions or clarification? Hearing none, all those in favor of amending the 1-3 organizational minutes, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, thank you. On to superintendent's report.
Chair Polly, members of the board. There we go. Good evening. As I shared earlier, it is School Board Recognition Week. Again, thank you so much for all that you do as a school board to support our kids and our staff and our school community. It's also I Love to Read Month. It is my very favorite month. What that means is I get to beg the teachers to let me come into their classrooms and read, and they're usually nice enough to say absolutely. So it's been a really fun experience this year. I got a little smarter about how I scheduled it and more organized with that. So far I've read in 2nd grade and 1st
So this week, or I guess it was last week, we were excited because the high school Spanish students got back in the elementary school classrooms. So that was really exciting to begin again. The band is still preparing to head to New Orleans next month. So everybody's, well, in the choir too, everybody's super excited to be able to do that. It's just continuing to keep up with classes and all the fun stuff that usually comes with high school. Frosty went well. It was a lot of fun this year.
Spent a lot of time on the gifted program, how we're gonna add, we did brainstorming. What we did, we were all divided in groups. We met with each of the principals and got a chance to, hear what the different family members and different staff and, what some of the ideas were. It was awesome. Just, the sky was the limit. I know that we spent, a fair amount of time saying that we're doing some really great things already, with the college and the schools and trying to keep the kids into our buildings and stuff. Some people were really surprised about what programs we have. So I think Dr. Yamelin and Superintendent will come back, meet with the leadership of the district, and it was a really, really good, it was a fun meeting because there was a lot of great ideas. Anything else, Sandy?
No, I think you pretty much covered it. I mean, I think one of the things that I guess I would add is that we were allowed to dream big. Obviously, we don't have the budget to do all the things that we came up with, but it's nice to be able to think outside the box and to think about, well, what could we do? So,
Thank you. Facilities did not meet. Did we meet in Vernon? No, we did not. No topic. Okay. Negotiations. We had just, as a district staff, had our administrative team at a meeting to talk through some of the upcoming negotiations. We have a follow-up tomorrow and then another meeting, I believe it's next to be in 2:11. Okay, policy did not meet. APAC?
we did meet, and I apologize again, I forgot my notebook at home, but we are actually meeting this week again because we are going over, there's this plan, and I'm forgetting what the name of it is. My notebook I would remember. But there's this plan that is technically optional right now, but we're going over the various goals and things like that because the thought process is that this will become eventually mandatory, so we want to go through everything now. So we're having an extra meeting on Wednesday, and then we'll have our normal meeting at the end of the month. So a lot of what we talked about was budget, and what things are being spent on, and where we're at with data in terms of tutoring. So that's off the top of my head. I know Renee, I zoomed in, and I had to leave early because I had another meeting, so I don't know if I missed anything.
I think the only other thing that we talked about was in the future, if there were ideas and thoughts for additional courses that could be offered. There was some conversation about what that process looks like. Mr. Visner is also on that committee, and so that was super helpful to talk about how far in advance our registration guide actually is in the works and what that looks like. And then I can't remember if this was in that meeting or just an additional email. I believe they have decided the banquet, I think, is on May 2nd. So I think more information will be coming out about that in the future.
It would be nice if the board could participate
Yes, I think last year it was different, just with COVID parameters. Yep, and so I think only Sandy, you know, because you're the board rep that was invited. I'm on the committee, so, but I'm sure they'll invite the full board meeting for you.
It would be nice, it's very impressive, I know I went 3 years ago, maybe it was before COVID.
Right.
It was an amazing experience.
Oh, yeah, it truly is, it truly is, absolutely.
Great, Booster Club, when did you?
I went to the Booster Club meeting. They reviewed their treasurer's reports. They have a new request that's potentially coming up, and it's really kind of cool. It's wraps that they're looking to put on the doors of the gymnasium to help boost school spirit. So they're still getting some more information on that from Joe, but it kind of was kind of cool what they were talking about doing. They reviewed their monthly gambling report and talked about a few updates from the fundraising committee. The boys and the girls basketball fundraiser at the tap room and the walking tacos was a huge success. And then the boys and girls basketball programs just did some type of team building activity, watching a movie about the Alaska basketball team and stuff just this Friday. There's some communications and marketing updates in which they're going to start, because there's talk about they might have some changing in their board, so there's going to be some transfer of knowledge that they have to kind of work through and get all that defined. And then they voted on the school store, which was in our recap of having the management of that come back to the school. And then I think that was it. I haven't been to a Booster Club meeting in quite a long time, because Sarah always gets to go, so it was kind of nice to get to go.
Yeah, so we went over the grant applications, and the deadline for teachers to get those applications in is February 25th. And then they are going to report progress back to the Education Foundation in March, and then announce the recipients in April. They did the teacher payroll that started in this month, correct? February, for staff to be able to get it taken right out of their paychecks. And then we talked about bingo, and I'm going to turn that over to Connie, because she's the bingo guru in that situation.
We have our bingo set, and was a little sad to find out that all my grad party's gonna get a bingo in before us. But, our date is all set and everything is, all our license and, the people that we needed to clear dates with, that's all.
What is the date?
Everything's set.
First Saturday in April.
Saturday in April.
So that would be the night before celebratory.
Yes, and it'll be at Lindsay's.
Lindsay's. And I believe 200 people.
240.
So we have to make sure that we leave room for regular customers to be able to get in, but we figured that we can fill the building pretty easily. It's $50 for, how many games?
No, 8? I don't remember.
I don't remember how many games for sure. It's,
They did say that you could profit between like 1,000 and 1,500
right,
for the one night.
for
So
the one night.
bling and
Yep.
bling and bang or
Bling and
something.
bang.
I don't remember.
Or whatever we decide to call it.
Yeah, I
guess,
don't
and we haven't got that far yet.
They also are going to get an updated quote of fast signs for yard signs for the graduates, to decide on the design for one of the signs. And then they did talk about gradgrams again, and the messages going to go out for that and how those are going to be written. And they did get a donation of $1,000 from Bell Bank. So,
We did get to meet the reps from each of the buildings too.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of nice and to see, and they're quite excited about taking the information back to the buildings. And sounds like they're doing a good job.
That's a good idea, to have a rep from each building
Mhm.
promote it, so.
Thanks to Superintendent Evenson, that was her idea.
Legislative, legislative. We're in the midst of the legislative session. I don't know if any of you have had the opportunity, but every Friday morning from now through the legislative session from 9 to 9:30, Denise Dietrich and Kim Lewis from MSBA have a legislative chat as well. The Kashkari page amendment, they are really super hammering this. They have gone to the national level with this, publicity-wise. So we need to keep our eyes open on that. That's going to be a tough one to fight because, or a tough one to manage, I was the appropriate word, because of course every parent is going to want to vote for something that supposedly is in the best interest of education, but there's just so many red flags. NASA is not, in full support. NSBA is not in full support. The union, teachers union, is not in support. There's just a lot of red flags, and we feel that it will open districts up to lawsuits.
Do you mind if I say
Not
something
at all.
on that?
No.
So in October, I had the opportunity to listen to those two speak. They came to Duluth, and they were in front of all of the city superintendents that were there, did not answer one question. And very direct questions. So, you know, if you say you want this to happen, how do you operationalize that? And every answer was, well, we think we'd get some parents and maybe some teachers and maybe some people could sit around in a room and talk through how to do that. No, like, and Deb is absolutely right. When on the surface, you would think everybody would be for this. The challenge is there's not a plan to operationalize it. There's not a plan for how anything would actually play out for a school district and what it would mean. And literally they're spending tons of money on this. And I think I get emails from the Federal Reserve like on a daily basis about it. But when push came to shove and they were asked 20 or so questions, did not answer one. And I think that was the turning point for the organization that I belong to, both organizations. It was concerning and frustrating because this roadshow has gone on for, and I hate to say roadshow, but it kind of is. It is. When you go from place to place to promote this, and you still can't answer a question. That was hard and it was disappointing. So I think, as Deb said, on the surface it looks amazing. Everybody would want to say, yeah, let's do that. Really concerning.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, and I personally actually been in Kashkari's office for a couple of these meetings, and NASA, the Superintendent's Association, MSBA, AMSD, all of the ed orgs, they have hammered and asked to be included in making some wording recommendation changes, and it goes nowhere, absolutely nowhere. So we just need to, on top of that. I don't know that it would make the ballot this fall because there's not support, I don't believe, in both the House and the Senate. But it's kind of ironic because there's parties from both sides, legislators from both sides of the aisle, that are either totally opposed to it or totally in favor of it. So it is something to keep your eye on. The governor has allotted $230 million, 29% of the governor's bill, for going partly to education. Another 25% of that would be for structural support, and it would include the 2% on the formula plus structural support. $187 million he's proposing for mental health, 5% for student support, 2% for SPED. There's a lot of other bills to keep an eye on. One is a House file bill on special ed by Representative Wolgamott. There's no Senate companion, so if they're not a companion, it won't get anywhere. There is an EL bill, English Learners Bill, both in the House and the Senate, that has strong support. This is one that we really need to keep our eyes on, though. There's a House File 3000 that would make all of our 9-month employees that are on contract eligible for unemployment, which would be a huge gift for us. So that's one to keep our eye open for. Let's see what else. There's a bill out there in the Senate about overuse of screen time, misuse of screen time. There's a couple bills out there on parents' bills of rights. There'll probably be quite a bit of push for those bills at different levels. Gazalka has one on curriculum and choice. But anyway, I could go on and on. But highly recommend if you've got a half hour on Friday mornings, it's well worth it. MSHSL, as you know, we're fall winter tournaments are ramping up. So hopefully we'll be able to participate in some of those. We're excited about that. I am on the state committee for choosing the AAA award winners. So I got my big packet of applicants in the mail yesterday. And so I'll be meeting with MSHSL in 2 weeks, I think it is, to make the final selection. And I think that is, if there's any other MSHSL. Yeah.
Why did, boys volleyball get voted down? It was on the news the other night that boys volleyball got voted to not become men's NCAA student sport.
Well, I obviously wasn't in on the meeting.
But they just said that it missed by 2 points or something.
A lot factors into when they make decisions like that. It's like facilities, because they have agreements with their Channel 45 contract for $1 million over however many years is a huge part of the decisions that MSHSL makes. If they don't fit into the criteria with Channel 45 for viewing, that's part of it. Facility use, like volleyball would probably be played at the Excel Center. Isn't that where they do volleyball, I think?
Yes, and I think also with, if you don't mind, I do remember this conversation. There's also that challenge of if they added another male sport, it takes away athletes from other opportunities. And in the metro, it felt different. The larger schools were like, it's just one more thing. There's tons of kids that could do this. Out in outstate Minnesota, really challenging to do that because there's always that. Then you have less kids that could play. I forget what time of the year it was in the spring, golf and
Yeah, it is spring.
yeah. And so that was part of the conversation that I recall, but it's been a little bit.
When it was a discussion at the 2AA regional meeting that I sit in on, and that was exactly the conversation, because they were leaning towards, they talked about if they did it in the fall, they said, like Mr. Perko I had talked to him before I went to the meeting, but he said it would have absolutely decimated the soccer program if it would be in the fall. And time-wise, with the way the other tournaments played out and the other use of facilities for tournaments, so they were leaning towards doing it in the spring. But again, then it competed with baseball and golf and all the spring things. So schools our size and smaller were not in favor of it. So I know shock to you because two of their people were at our meeting.
I just, it almost became an ethnic thing with the way they did it on TV, because a lot of the Hmong kids, whatever, they felt like they were not privileged to play on some of the other sports things. And I was just curious because the newscast kind of presented it like they were just shot down, and I think they didn't present all the pros and cons of it.
How that works is all the regions, and I don't know how many regions there are across the state, they have regional representatives vote, all the athletic directors, their groups vote for each region, and all of that is assimilated and brought before the full high school league board, which I think now that they added some people, I think they've got like 22 people or something like that on their board. And so they listen to both sides, and then they strongly take into consideration what the vote of the regions and the regions were. So, yeah. A good question, yeah. Yeah, so that was a topic of discussion, as was unified sports was also the other topic, and that the unified sports one didn't pass for our region. Anyway, okay, on to scale.
I wasn't able to attend on Friday. It was Friday morning, it was virtual only. I wasn't able to attend.
Okay. Lauren, SCSC, Metro, Sue?
I've never even, like,
Yeah.
I don't get an email. I think we should just take that off the list.
I think let's take that off the list in January.
I'm fine with that. Next year, yeah.
They just don't.
Do they even meet?
No.
Do they send email out? Do
They have
they?
an executive committee that meets, just that, the small core, which are not anybody.
Okay. Then, yeah, that,
SEAC, Connie? Okay, and Southwest Metro, we will meet tomorrow night, so there's nothing new there. So with that, I will turn to Mr. Dannert.
you forgot your job? Ooh.